Joe, what do you feel are the biggest changes you've seen in the field of adult literacy in Hillsborough County during your 40 years?
Probably the biggest change has been the phenomenal growth of the program. I think that the growth of the program in terms of the number of students served, and more important or equally important is the community involvement in adult education. There was a time when in any education, whether it was K through 12 or whatever, the school was on one end and the community was somewhere else. But over the years, because of legislation, because of leadership that various individuals within the community, that the growth has been phenomenal in terms of enrollment. At one time, I remember some 12 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, when the growth of the program was really moving. I had one of the data people call me from downtown at the school district and said, I wanted you to know that officially you have more people registered in your program than the University of South Florida does. So that struck me as, wait a minute, what does that mean? So we had some 38,000. Now, it's grown phenomenal. You have to understand that the focus of education, obviously, and as it should be, is K through 12, is children. But we have been making some inroads, and we continue to talk about, that you can pour all of the money you want to into the K through 12 program, but until you do something with their parents, a lot of that money is not going to bear the fruit that you're looking for. So that was an impetus too, that when we went into the community, that we started talking about that there's got to be community involvement in adult ed, and there's got to be parent. And when I say parent involvement, I don't mean going to school and participating in PTA meetings. I mean actually having parents become partners in the education of their children. And so those families that have come to understand that the school and parents are partners in this endeavor and are doing some. Those are the kids that I think. But if parents wait until his kid gets to school and first grade or pre-K, whatever, a lot of things have to happen before that happens, so that kid is ready to be successful in school.
And I think that's even more important with those at-risk children.
Absolutely.
We have parents like Tom or you and me who provide that atmosphere at home, that foundation for success. But those kids who comes from homes that don't have that foundation.
Probably it's a bigger risk, and I have found though that their parenting skills, if you want to call it that, and I hesitate doing that because people get put off when you talk about parenting skills. Are you saying I'm not a good parent? No, I'm not saying that, but there are things that one needs to know in terms of child growth and development that's not necessarily under the auspices of educators. There are things that you have to know about what you're doing and how things affect the growth of your child. And so that today is really happening much more so than at any time in the past. But it has been a long time getting there, where we're getting parents immersed into, or at least attempting to get parents immersed in the education of their children.
What do you feel are your most significant contributions to the field of adult literacy in Hillsborough County?
I think one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is the keeping a high profile. Over the years that I was involved in adult ed with the district, and even now with the community colleges, keeping a high profile of adult ed within the community. I think when we were beginning to build the programs as coordinators and supervisors and as folks who were trained in adult ed, we knew that we needed to go out to the community and be part of that community and to bring the communities into the school, but also for us to go out and to do things within the community. And we just started doing some fantastic work in terms of outreaching and awareness. But I think one of the biggest things that I felt was a huge change in adult ed that I was involved in was, I think it was 1987, I think, was the National Literacy Act. At that point in time, the federal government, in sending monies to the state, dictated that there should be a greater degree of accountability, not in terms of grades and whatever, but in terms of agencies that either were providing educational services or receiving educational services or had clients that would benefit from educational services had to come together and form coalitions and actually work out agreements, actual formal agreements, so that we would know who was doing what and to what degree. And, the Department of Labor, the Department of Education, the Department of Defense in terms of getting people trained when they're coming from the service. I was given the opportunity to lead that coalition in Hillsborough County. We put together a huge number of folks from the public and political and private arena to see who was doing what and how we could advance the cause of literacy. And I think that was really one of the first formal organizations. And then, because we were so highly involved in that, they gave us an opportunity to continue always being up front with this process, always going back and saying, remember the legislation, let's go back and see what we're doing, let's revisit the agents, let's revisit the contract. And the programs grew substantially during that period of time, and the community involvement did. And I think that was really a big thing that I feel was very important.
Okay. Does that answer then my next question? What single achievement are you most proud of?
I don't know that I can even answer it with single achievement. You know what single achievement I think I'm the proudest of? That it's 49 years in the business and I'm still doing it, and I think still having an effect.
And still having fun? And
still having some degree of fun. At this point I'm getting close to where I say maybe that's long enough. But I think having spent that many years doing the kinds of work that we have done, and not just me, but the kinds of work that people in this field have done, it's been quite rewarding. The last graduation that I had when I was Director of Adult Education before retirement, graduated 600 students. That was the largest graduating class in the county, including all the high schools. So, that's not something that's widely known or widely. A lot of that was GED and whatever, but it's folks that went through our system. And when it's been said a lot, and I think it was Christy McCullough that said at one time that when you teach a child, you touch the future. But in our business, when you teach a parent, you teach the child, who both touch the future. So I think it's an important piece of work that we do. I tell my staff and we work that this is not about education, but it's to the degree that we're working, the folks that we're working with, is that you're saving lives. And I've been a part of that, so I think that's an important piece.